Welcome back, everyone. In our last session, we really built the foundation. We looked at what graphs are, their different types, and how we represent them using adjacency matrices and lists. Today, we're going to build on that. We'll kick things off by seeing how to modify graphs, and then we'll take a deep dive into one of the most important graph algorithms out there, traversal, specifically using breadth-first search, or BFS as you'll come to know it. Ready? Let's jump right in.
So here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with how to change a graph, then we'll get into the big idea of traversal. After that, we'll unpack the BFS algorithm step by step, watch it in action with a full example, build it ourselves in Java, and finally, we'll analyze its performance to see why it's such a powerful tool in the industry.
Okay, let's get into our first topic. You see, real-world graphs are rarely static. They're dynamic, living data structures. Just think about a social network. New people are signing up, and new friendships are being made every single second. So it's absolutely crucial for us to know how to add new vertices and edges to our graphs on the fly.
Let's break down exactly what this code is doing. Imagine we're adding a new person, F, to our network and connecting them with someone who's already there. In English, the add vertex F line is simple. It just adds a new node F to our graph. The next two lines, ajmat2 4 equals 1 and ajmat4 2 equals 1, work as a pair to create a two-way friendship. The first line makes a connection from node 2 to node 4. The second line creates the connection back from node 4 to node 2. This symmetry in the matrix is the hallmark of an undirected or two-way relationship.
හරි අපි දැන් මේ කෝඩ් එක සිංහලෙන් ගැඹුරටම තේරුම් ගමු. හිතන්න මේ graph එක social network එකක් Facebook එකක් කියලා. add vertex F කියන පළවෙනි line එකෙන් කරන්නේ F කියලා අලුත් user කෙනෙක්ව අපේ system එකට එකතු කරන එක. දැන් මේ user තනියම ඉඳලා බෑනේ. එයාට friends line ඕනේ. ajmat2 4 equals 1 කියන දෙවෙනි line එකෙන් කරන්නේ අන්නේ සම්බන්ධය හදන එක. මෙතන ajmat කියන්නේ adjacency matrix එක. ඒ කියන්නේ අපේ graph එකේ කවුද කාටද connect වෙලා ඉන්නේ කියලා පෙන්වන වගුවක්. Computer programming වලදී index පටන් ගන්න බිඳුවෙන් නිසා index 2 කියන්නේ තුන්වෙනි user, index 4 කියන්නේ පස්වෙනි user. ඉතින් මේ line එකෙන් තුන්වෙනි user ඉඳන් පස්වෙනි user ට සම්බන්ධයක් එහෙම නැත්නම් edge එකක් හදනවා. හැබැයි මේක එක පැත්තට විතරයි Facebook එකේ friend request එකක් යවුවා වගේ අනිත් කෙනාගේ accept කරන්නත් ඕන. ajmat4 2 equals 1 කියන තුන්වෙනි line එකෙන් කරන්නේ අන්නේ අනිත් පැත්ත හදන එකේ. ඒ කියන්නේ පස්වෙනි user ඉඳන් තුන්වෙනි user ට සම්බන්ධයක් හදනවා. දැන් දෙපැත්තටම 1 දාලා තියෙන නිසා මේ දෙන්න අතර තියෙන සම්බන්ධය undirected වෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ දෙන්නම friendsලා. undirected graph එකක adjacency matrix එක හැම වෙලේම symmetric වෙන්නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ විකර්ණයේ දෙපැත්තේ අගයන් සමාන වෙන්නේ. අන්න ඒ විදිහට දෙපැත්තටම සම්බන්ධතා හඳන නිසායි.
Awesome! So now that we know how to build and even change a graph, let's explore one of the most fundamental things we can do with it, traversal. So, what on earth does it mean to traverse a graph, and why is this idea so incredibly important in computer science? So what is graph traversal? In English, the core idea is actually quite simple, but it's super powerful. It's all about systematically visiting every single node in a graph. The key word here is systematically. You need a strategy to make sure you visit each node exactly once. You can't miss any, and you can't visit the same one twice. Haring. Graph traversal කියනකේතේරම හරිම සරලයි. හැබැයි හරිම බලවත්. ඒ කියන්නේ graph එකක තියෙන හැම vertex එකක් ගාවටම එහෙම නැත්නම් හැම node එකක් ගාවටම ක්‍රමානුකූලව යන එක. මෙතනදී වැදගත්ම දේ තමයි ක්‍රමයක් අනුගමනය කරන එක. ඒ කියන්නේ එක node එකක්වත් මග නෑර ඒ වගේම එකම node එකට දෙපාරක් යන්නේ නැතුව හැම තැනකටම යන එක තමයි traversal කියන්නේ. නිගමට හිතන්න Google Maps එකෙන් ඔයාට පාරක් හොයලා දෙන්නේ කොහොමද? ඒක පාරවල් කියන graph එක traverse කරලා ඒ කියන්නේ ඒකේ තියෙන හැම හන්දියක්ම හැම පාරක්ම ක්‍රමානුකූලව පරීක්ෂා කරලා තමයි ඔයාට හොඳම කෙටිම පාර හොයාගන්නේ. Facebook එකෙන් ඔයාට friends of friends ලව පෙන්නන්නේ ඔයාගේ friend network එක traverse කරලා. ඉතින් පාරවල් හොයන්න, network එකක හැමෝම connect ද කියලා බලන්න, data හොයන්න මේ හැම දෙයකම traversal අත්‍යවශ්‍යයි. මේක කරන්න ප්‍රධාන ක්‍රම දෙකක් තියෙනවා breadth first search BFS සහ depth first search DFS. අද අපි සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම අවධානය යොමු කරන්නේ BFS වලට.
All right, let's dive into the algorithm itself and really break down breadth first search. If there's only one thing you remember about BFS from today, make it this. It explores the graph layer by layer. This slide really gives us the perfect way to think about how BFS works. In English, on the left, you have the core concept. Imagine dropping a stone into a still pond. The ripples spread out in perfect circles, one layer at a time. BFS is exactly like that. You start at one node, visit all of its direct neighbors, that's the first ripple, and only after you've visited all of them do you move out to visit their neighbors, the second ripple. On the right is the special tool that makes this possible,
a queue data structure, which follows a first in, first out, or FIFO principle.
මේ ස්ලයිඩ් එකෙන් BFS ඇල්ගොරිතම් එකේ හදවතම පේනනවා. වම් පැත්තේ තියෙන the idea, ඒ කියන්නේ සංකල්පය. හිතන්නකෝ ඔයා නිසල වතුර තියෙන පොකුණකට ගලක් දැම්ම කියලා. මොකද වෙන්නේ? රළ වලලු එකින් එක පිළිවෙලකට මැද ඉඳන් එළියට පැතිරිලා යනවා නේද? අන්න ඒකම තමයි BFS කියන්නේ. අපි එක නෝඩ් එකකින් පටන් ගන්නවා. ඊට පස්සේ ඒකට කෙලින්ම සම්බන්ධ වෙලා තියෙන නේබර්ස්ලා ඔක්කොම බලන්න යනවා. ඒ තමයි පළවෙනි රළ වලල. එහෙම නැත්නම් අපි කියනවා level 1 කියලා. ඒ ලෙවල් එකේ ඉන්න ඔක්කොම බලලා ඉවරුණාට පස්සේ විතරයි අපි ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ නේබර්ස්ලා බලන්න යන්නේ. ඒක තමයි දෙවනි රළවලල. ඉතින් කම්පියුටර් එකක් කොහොමද මේ පිළිවෙල හරියටම මතක තියාගන්නේ? ඒකට පාවිච්චි කරන the tool එක, ඒ කියන්නේ මෙවලම තමයි දකුණු පැත්තේ තියෙන්නේ. queue එකක්. queue එකක් කියන්නේ හරියට කඩේක පෝලිමක් වගේ. පෝලිමට මුලින්ම ආපු කෙනාට මුලින්ම සේවය ලැබෙනවා. ඒකට කියනවා first in first out කියලා. FIFO කියලා. BFS එක මේ queue එක පාවිච්චි කරලා ඊළඟට බලන්න යන්න ඕන කවුද කියලා පිළිවෙලට පොලිමේ දාගන්නවා. ඒක නිසා අර රළ වලලු වගේ layer by layer යන පිළිවෙල හරියටම පවත්වා ගන්න පුළුවන් වෙනවා.
So here are the 4 fundamental steps. It's a beautifully simple and really effective process. First, step 1, we initialize. We need 2 things, an empty queue to hold the nodes we plan to visit and a visited list to keep track of where we've already been. We add our starting node to the queue and immediately mark it as visited so we don't accidentally come back to it. Second, the loop. The whole algorithm runs inside a loop that keeps going as long as there's something in the queue. Once the queue is empty, it means we visited every possible node and we're done. Third, we dequeue. Inside that loop, the first thing we do is take the node from the very front of the queue. This is the current node we are exploring. And fourth, the most important step, enqueue neighbors. We look at all the neighbors of the node we just pulled from the queue. For each neighbor that we haven't visited yet, we do 2 things. We mark it as visited, and we add it to the back of the queue. And that's it. The loop just repeats this process, pull from the front, add to the back, until every reachable node has been explored.
Okay, theory is great, but let's be honest. The best way to really understand an algorithm is to see it in action. So let's walk through a complete example, step by step, to make this whole process crystal clear. All right, let's trace this on a sample graph, starting from node A. Really keep your eye on how the queue and the visited list change with each step. Step 1, we start by initializing. We add our starting node, A, to the queue and also to our visited list. Simple enough. Step 2, now the main loop begins. We dequeue A, pulling it from the front of the queue. We look at its immediate neighbors, which are B and C. Since we haven't seen them before, we add both of them to the visited list, and then we enqueue them. Our queue is now B, C. Notice we finished with level 0, A, and we've perfectly queued up all of level 1, B and C. Step 3. Next round, we dequeue the element at the front, which is B. We look at its unvisited neighbor, which is D. So we add D to the visited list and pop it onto the back of the queue. The queue now looks like this, C, D. Step 4. Now it's C's turn. We dequeue it. Its unvisited neighbor is E. We mark E as visited and add it to the queue. Now look closely. Our queue is D, E. We finished processing everyone from level 1, and our queue is now perfectly loaded with everyone from level 2. You can really see that layer-by-layer pattern emerging, right? Step 5. We dequeue D, find its neighbor F, mark F as visited, and then queue it. The queue is now E, F. Step 6. Next, we dequeue E. Let's say it has no unvisited neighbors, so we do nothing. The queue just has F left. Step 7. And finally, we dequeue F. It also has no unvisited neighbors. The queue is now completely empty. That means our loop terminates and the traversal is officially complete.
And there you have it, the final result. The order in which we processed the nodes, the order we actually dequeued them, was A, then B and C, then D, E, and F. Look at that structure. We fully explored all of A's direct neighbors, level 1, before we even touched any of their neighbors at level 2. This perfectly visualizes that ripple effect we talked about. This is the absolute signature of a breadth-first search. Now that we've really gotten a handle on the logic and walked through an example, let's translate this whole thing into actual Java code. Seeing the implementation is what's going to solidify your understanding of how all these pieces fit together inside a real program. Okay, before we can even write the BFS function, we need a blueprint for our graph itself. Let's quickly walk through this basic setup. In English, we have a graph class that holds 2 key pieces of information, V, which is the total number of vertices, and a J, which is our adjacency list. The constructor initializes this structure, and the addEdge method lets us create connections. Finally, you can see the empty shell of our BFS method, which we're about to build out.
හරි. BFS method එක ලියන්න කලින් අපිට graph එකක් හදාගන්න class එකක් ඕන. ඒකේ setup එක බලමු. class graph එක ඇතුළේ private int v කියලා තියෙන්නේ graph එකේ තියෙන මුළු vertices ගාන. ඒ කියන්නේ nodes ගාන store කරගන්න. private link list integer aj කියන්නේ adjacency list එක. මේකේ array එකක්. හැබැයි ඒකේ හැම element එකක්ම අදාළ vertex එකේ neighborsලා කවුද කියලා තියෙන වෙනම link list එකක්. graph int v කියන constructor එකෙන් කරන්නේ අපි graph object එකක් හදද්දී මේ v එකට අගයක් දෙන එකයි vertices ගානට හරියන adj array එක හදන එකයි. add edge int v int w method එකෙන් අපි v කියන vertex එකේ ඉඳන් w ට edge එකක්, ඒ කියන්නේ connection එකක් හදනවා. ඒක කරන්නේ v ට අදාළ list එකට w එකතු කරලා. අන්තිමට තියෙන void bfs int s කියන method එක ඇතුලේ තමයි අපි අපේ bfs logic එක implement කරන්න යන්නේ.
Okay, let's look inside that BFS method and see the setup. Before we can start our journey through the graph, we need to get our tools ready. First, we create a visited Boolean array. This is our memory, the track where we've already been. Second, we initialize an empty queue using a linked list. Then, we kick the whole process off by marking our starting node s as visited and adding it to the queue. Finally, we wrap everything in a while loop that simply says, keep doing this as long as there's something in the queue.
හරි. දැන් අපි BXS කරන method එකේ ඇතුළට යමු. Traversal එක පටන් ගන්න කලින් අපිට last වෙන්න දේවල් ටිකක් තියෙනවා. පළවෙනියටම boolean visited array එකක් new boolean කියලා v වලින් අපි boolean array එකක් හදනවා. අපි මේ node එකට ගියාද නැද්ද කියලා මතක තියාගන්න. මුලින්ම මේකේ ඔක්කොම false වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. ඊළඟට linked list integer q කියලා new linked list කියලා අපේ q එක හදා ගන්නවා. දැන් වැඩේ පටන් ගන්න අපි starting node එක s නේ ඒක visit කරා කියලා visited s equals to true කියලා mark කරනවා. ඊට පස්සේ q.add කරලා s එක q එකට දානවා. ඊට පස්සේ එන while කියන loop එකෙන් තමයි කියන්නේ q එක හිස් වෙනකල් ඒ කියන්නේ size එක බිඳුව වෙනකල් මේ loop එක ඇතුලේ තියෙන process එක දිගටම කරන්න කියලා.
Now, we are inside that main while loop. This is the real engine of the BFS algorithm. In each cycle of the loop, the first thing we do is pull the queue. That just means we take the node from the very front. Then we use an iterator to go through all of that node's neighbors one by one. And here is the most important part. For each neighbor, we ask a simple question. If not visited n, have we been here before? If the answer is no, and only if it's no, do we mark it as visited and add it to the back of the queue. This single check is what keeps us from going around in circles forever.
So, we've seen the theory, we've walked through an example, and we've built the code. Now, for the final piece of the puzzle, let's analyze how efficient this algorithm really is and see where it's actually used out there in the real world. Understanding its performance is critical for any software developer.
Let's talk about complexity, which is just a fancy way of measuring how efficient an algorithm is. In English, first, time complexity, it's O of v plus e, where v is the number of vertices and e is the number of edges. The O of v part happens because every single vertex is put onto the queue and taken off the queue exactly one time. The O of v part comes from the fact that we look at every edge once when we check the neighbors of each vertex. So the total time is proportional to the vertices plus the edges. For space complexity, it's O of v. This is all about memory. In the worst-case scenario, like a star-shaped graph, the queue might have to hold almost all the vertices at once. And of course, the visited array also takes up space proportional to v. Api algorithm ekaka karyakshamatawaya maninne complexity analysis walin. Time complexity eka ekyanne vede karanniyana kalaya O of v plus e කියලා කියනවා. මෙතන v කියන්නේ vertices ගාන, e කියන්නේ edges ගාන. O of v කොටසේ එන්නේ graphic එකේ තියෙන හැම vertex එකක්ම q එකට එකපාරක් දාලා එකපාරක් එළියට ගන්න නිසා. ඒ වෙදේට v-ට සමානුපාතික කාලයක් යනවා. O of v කොටසේ එන්නේ අපි හැම vertex එකකම neighborsලා බලද්දී graphic එකේ තියෙන හැම edge එකක් දිගම එකපාරක් බලන නිසා. ඒ නිසා මුළු කාලය v සහ e වල එකතුවට සමානුපාතික වෙනවා. Space complexity එක ඒ කියන්නේ මතකය කොච්චර ඕනේද කියන එක O of v වෙනවා. මොකද නරකම අවස්ථාවකදී උදාහරණයක් විදිහට එක node එකකට අනිත් ඔක්කොම connect වෙලා තියෙන graph එකක q එකට v ගානට කිට්ටු ප්‍රමාණයක් දාගන්න වෙනවා. ඒ වගේම අපි හදන visited array එකේ size එකත් v වෙනවා. ඒ නිසා මතක භාවිතය v වලට සමානුපාතිකයි.
Now, this isn't just some abstract theory. BFS is a real workhorse algorithm used everywhere in modern technology. For shortest path finding, this is its killer feature. If your graph is unweighted, meaning every connection costs the same, BFS is guaranteed to find the path with the fewest steps. Think of LinkedIn showing you there are 3 connections between you and a CEO, or a GPS finding a route with the minimum number of turns. That's pure BFS. Web crawlers, like the ones Google uses, start at a web page and follow all its links. Then they go to those pages and follow all their links. That layer-by-layer discovery is a textbook use case for BFS. For network broadcasting, when a message needs to go from one computer to all others in a network, BFS is a super efficient way to spread it out, layer by layer, without creating loops or sending the same message twice. And of course, in social networks, it's perfect for finding friends of friends. A BFS starting at your profile will find all your direct friends at level 1, then all of their friends at level 2, and so on.
So, to wrap up our deep dive, if you're going to remember anything, remember these 5 crucial points. First, its signature move is that it traverses layer by layer. Second, its essential tool is the queue, working on that first-in, first-out principle. Third, it is the absolute champion of finding the shortest path in unweighted graphs. Fourth, its time complexity is a very efficient O of V plus E. And finally, its space complexity is O of V. Get these 5, and you've got BFS.
All right, let's bring it all home. We've covered a ton of ground today, so let's just take a moment to really crystallize the most important concepts. These are the things you'll want to have locked in, not just for your exams, but for actually applying these ideas in your future career.
These are the absolute cornerstones of today's lecture. You need to master the general concept of graph traversal. It's the foundation for so many other powerful algorithms. You have to understand the core difference between BFS and its sibling DFS, because knowing which one to use is a common problem in the real world. You must know the role of the queue in BFS. It's not just a minor detail, it's the very thing that makes the algorithm work. Remember this mantra: BFS equals shortest path in unweighted graphs. That's its superpower. And finally, be able to confidently explain its time and space complexity. That's how you justify using it in a real system. To really test your understanding, try tackling these challenges. Can you take a brand new graph and trace a BFS traversal from scratch, showing the state of the queue at every single step? Could you write the Java code for it without peeking at your notes? And maybe most importantly, can you explain to someone else why its complexity is O of V plus E, or describe a situation where you would absolutely choose it over DFS? If you can do those things, you've truly mastered this algorithm.
And finally, let's be precise with our language. In technical interviews and in your academic work, using the right terms matters. So here are the professional, exam-ready definitions. For graph traversal, the keywords are systematic and exactly once. For breadth-first search, the key phrase you need is explores neighbor nodes at the present depth prior to moving on. And for a queue, the concept you absolutely must remember is first in, first out, or FIFO. Having these definitions down cold is a sign of a true professional.
After all of that technical detail, all the code, all the complexity analysis, if you need just one simple image to hold on to, let it be this one. BFS is like spreading a secret at a party. You don't just tell one friend, who tells their friend, who then tells their friend, and so on down a long chain. No. To make sure the news spreads wide and fast, you tell all of your closest friends first. That's your first layer. Then, they all tell all of their closest friends. That's the second layer. It's a breadth-first spread of information. That is the true essence of this incredibly powerful algorithm. Thanks for joining this explainer. In our next session, we're going to dive into its fascinating counterpart, depth-first search. I'll see you then.